Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in.
Yeah, Caitlin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be a part of it. So thank you for having me.
Of
No
course.
problem at all.
Where'd you travel from?
Ohio. Yes, the Midwest girly.
The old
Love
Midwest.
Exotic.
Yeah, very exotic.
Very exotic.
You know? They don't make it like the Midwest girls.
No?
They're the nicest. They really are super nice.
There
and
really
they eat
is.
a lot of things,
A lot of different things.
Yeah, they eat more.
There's nothing really much else
eat
to
more.
do.
which I like. I relate to those women,
To those
type of
to
to those people, the eaters.
But really, though, I mean, especially during this time of the year, there's not much else to do except for just consume.
Yeah.
So
Or leave.
or
Just
leave
Ohio.
or get the fuck out.
Go on
like me.
podcast. You're like, I have nothing else to
like,
do.
Sure, whatever. I'll come on your podcast.
I was in Chicago a few weeks ago, and I texted a few friends. I was like, "Do you guys do anything besides eat and drink during the wintertime? Like, there's nothing else to do." I was like, I'm gonna be 1,000 pounds when I leave here because I'm just eating pasta and drinking and having some
Yeah.
beers, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be 1,000 pounds by the time I leave here.
Yeah, and that's why everyone's so happy in the Midwest.
That's so fair.
That's
Because when
fine.
it's like 12 degrees, you don't want a caprese.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
Oh
I
my
mean?
God.
I'm not eating a Caesar.
I like the way you said that.
Caprese.
Is that the correct way to say it? I always say
caprese.
Caprese.
I'm gonna be honest.
A
I don't know if I've
caprese.
said it out loud,
Caprese.
but it's a hard word to know how to say.
Yeah, I don't want like a mozzarella tomato dish. Like, I want a lasagna. You know.
Mozzarella.
That's one of those words that I feel like when you say it, you sound pretentious, even if you don't mean to. It's like when somebody says like Barcelona and they say it right? Like, oh, I'm going to Ibiza, and they're like, oh, you just sound pretentious as fuck. And I know you don't mean it. You're saying it the right way, but like it just sounds
super
so
respectful of
pretentious.
you, but it pissed me off.
Yeah. I say it incorrectly to have like a little bit more street cred,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Yeah,
to sound
yeah.
cooler.
I think I just say. Wait, how did you say it again?
Caprese.
Caprese.
I definitely
Caprese.
just say Caprese.
I say Caprese.
Well, that's so wrong. That's
Capri
like
Sun.
Oh, I was going to say Capri Sun.
It's a Capri Sun salad. Yeah, it's different.
Anyways, now that we all sound stupid, can you
Yes.
please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, give us like a 30-second elevator pitch.
All right. Okay. Pressure's on. These questions are always so interesting because it's like, who am I again? Like, what do I do?
Have
What
I
do I
met
like? like, So as we've already established, I'm a girly from the Midwest, Ohio. Really exciting stuff. But I'd like to, if I had to describe myself without, describing what I do for work or like, my accomplishments and whatnot, and really try and characterize myself, I would say I'm somebody who is spiritual, enjoys spontaneity, loves looking for the next adventure, hence why I really am even here. Yeah, and maybe someone who thought this was a dating show and just gave her pitch on
You might meet a
Yeah.
boyfriend.
yeah, who knows who's
knows?
watching this.
Yeah.
But
What's
yeah.
your birthday?
March 22nd.
March 22nd. Okay, that makes you is that an Aries?
Aries. Yes.
Okay, are you fiery? Do you relate to any of those?
I would say yes. Certain parts of my personality is definitely fiery, but I fall right on the cusp. So I'm like right between Pisces and Aries.
Okay.
So I like to say that I have characteristics of both, but I'm definitely an Aries at my core.
Are you into that stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. me
Not
too.
like I know the bare minimum.
Same.
Enough. Like if someone was like, "Oh, I'm a Cancer," I'd be like,
Oh, so you're sensitive,
Yeah.
or you whatever. Yeah.
I know the bare minimum, but really from what it pertains to me, like I've got CoStar on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Who
I get the
doesn't? Who doesn't?
notifications. Yeah. So, and it is very real, and it's something that I am trying to learn more about, and it's very interesting how the stars align and how they affect you. But yeah,
We all just want to be understood. That's what it comes down to.
exactly.
And now you're here. So
You're here
Yeah.
because you're a Pisces Aries cusp.
yeah.
It all makes sense.
But Anna, I told you there was something I wanted to bring up right away in the
Oh,
podcast
yeah,
with
yeah.
Caitlin, because this was something that I thought was just so unbelievably cool, and this happened a few weeks ago for you. But Caitlin just says, we're texting about the podcast and when she's coming out here and everything like that, and she's like, yeah, so I just went to the airport and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay.
What happened?
Yeah. So basically, as I was like entering in the new year, I wanted to make a promise to myself and where I really fully commit to these resolutions or like life-changing things. And so one of these bucket list items that I had was to go to the airport and just book a flight that day with no idea or plan where I'd end up. And I did it. So I just went to the Columbus airport. It's more difficult than you think. You can't really just walk in and buy a flight. Learn that the hard way.
It's not like the movies.
No, it's not super romantic. I had to, I talked to a few people and then I ended up having to sit down and randomize a flight that was leaving that day. But it still was at its core random and I had no idea where I'd end up. And so I ended up in Orlando, Florida. And it was really just kind of like this like surrender experiment where I'm like, I'm just going to let the universe take me wherever I'm meant to be for the next few days, especially as I'm entering the new year. Because one of my resolutions being like embracing spontaneity and walking into the unknown with just confidence and trust that I'll figure it out wherever I end up. And so, yeah, that's basically what it was. And I ended up in Orlando, Florida. And never been to Orlando, but it was truly the best way I could describe that entire experience was magical in the sense that I did kind of surrender to just like, whatever, I'm sure I'll figure out what I'll do when I get there. And then I ended up booking an Airbnb where I just booked the room, and I've never done that before. I've always just kind of like booked my own space. I do prioritize my space, especially when I'm traveling. But in this sense, I was like, I think it makes more sense to be surrounded by people who know the area and maybe allow myself to be exposed to strangers so I can figure out where I want to go and how I want to navigate this trip. So I booked a room at this Airbnb, and it just so happened that the host was also renting the room out to another individual, and she's like this 26-year-old girl who is moving her life out to Orlando, and we both just like hit it off instantly and spent like the entire trip together just doing really silly exploring. We went and saw manatees. We went to this little witchy town. I love little witchy spiritual things. I got this ring, actually. I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, pretty.
Yes. It's moldavite. I don't know if you know much about crystals, but it's supposed to like enact change and spiritual growth. But yeah. And then we ended up going to the nearest beach, which is like Cocoa Beach.
Oh, yeah.
And just jumping into the water at midnight.
Amazing.
And it was such a cool experience and would absolutely recommend it. And my fear with doing that, though, was like I'll end up somewhere like Milwaukee or like somewhere so obscure and random. But I was like, if that's where I'm meant to be, I'm meant to be. But it definitely felt like the universe was guiding me this way so I can experience everything that I did. And it was truly something I'm very happy I took the leap to do.
I feel like your trip reminds me of like if a man wrote a rom-com about a girl traveling alone, where it's like she jumped into the ocean at midnight with this other young girl that was in the house that she happened to connect with. Like, what the fuck?
Well, and wasn't it you guys skinny dip too? It wasn't.
Oh yeah. No, you think she wore a bathing suit for that? A man wrote this. She was with manatees.
Like riding the manatees.
Yeah.
Like if I had planned the trip, I'd have been like, I would have gone to Disneyland. When you said magical, I'm like, you went to Disneyland, didn't you? No mention of that.
I thought about it, but I'm a nanny. I work with kids. I've been to the Disney parks. I don't need to.
You didn't
go
need to be
again.
doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so cool. How did you land on Orlando? Like, what was you said you matched your destiny?
Yes.
Whatever.
So basically, when I got to the airport, I start asking around, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?
Are you okay?
Like, is this not normal?"
They want a 5150, like check you into a mental hospital. They're like, is she all right?
We got a crack smoker
Yeah,
again.
I know.
She's back. Their bag's packed.
Oh no.
But yeah, so basically they were like it. And so when I walked into it, I was thinking like I was doing the airport a favor, like the airlines a favor. Like I'm going to book the flight that nobody else is booking. I'm walking in, the flight's about to leave. Just put me on the open seat that's not sold yet. So I'm thinking it'll be really cheap. Boy, was I wrong.
How expensive was it?
It ended up being like $750
Round trip or?
round trip
To go to
Okay.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's a kick in the dick right there.
Yeah, sure
maybe
is.
Tuscany, but not Orlando.
Wait. But so I was like banking on, it'll be more expensive, like $400, and then I'm like fishing through it, like no. But then I go to the desk, and she's like, I can sell you a ticket, but I'm going to warn you, like with last minute bookings like this, they end up being more expensive because of the inconvenience of like the last minute, adjustments. And I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't really consider that perspective. And so she's like, okay, the next available flight I'm seeing is, where was it? It was somewhere so random, like Illinois, for $600.
Destiny did not want you to go there.
One way. I was like, my bank account is not going to approve this one.
No.
So I was like, and she's like, okay, so what I would recommend if you still want to do this is just go, to one of the travel sites and find a flight on there. And so I actually ended up just going to my airport, which is the Columbus Airport website, and you can see all of the incoming and outgoing flights. And so you just go to that page, and I just kind of scrolled down to the desired time, and then just did a random scroll and decided whichever flight I land on from that scroll is the one I'll find. And I ended up landing on Washington and Orlando, and I was like, okay, whichever one is cheaper, I'll go for. And then it ended up that the Washington flight wasn't even available anymore. And Southwest got me on the Orlando flight for a pretty penny. At that point, I was just like, I'm already here. I'm not turning around now. So if I have to spend a little extra, then I have to spend a little extra. I'm doing this regardless.
How do you pack for that? Because like, what if you had Arizona versus like New York? Like, yeah, you're screwed.
That was the troubling part about it all, is like I was almost dressed as if I was going to like Aspen. Like I was wearing this full on coat, snowsuit, ready to be in the cold. But then my suitcase was more so if I ended up in warmer weather or like mid weather, because again, I didn't know where I was going to end up. And it was almost just trusting that like I would have what I need, like my essentials being my toiletries and things that I need every day. But if there's anything that I get to where I'm going and I need to get, I can do that. Like I have the freedom to go buy something. It's not perfect, but I knew that I would figure it out. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Would you do that, Anna?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I almost think we need to challenge ourselves. Here's what I think we should do.
I'm the definite, like you could be like, Anna, do you want to go to Mexico tomorrow? I'll be like, sure.
No, but you're talking about then all of us going. Like I'm talking about.
Oh, by myself.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I don't even sleep in my house by myself.
That was the thing. Yeah.
So, okay, how do you balance safety as a woman and spontaneity? Because I am incredibly spontaneous, but I also have this thing in the back of my head that's like, okay, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. And like, I like to go places by myself, but then traveling, I'm like, okay, I'm getting in a taxi alone. People are seeing me go to my room alone. I would start being a little hypervigilant in that sense. So how did you balance that safety with that spontaneity?
I think, that's a great question because, again, as a woman, it is tough to want to do these things and desire these things, but the reality of life like doesn't always set that up for you. For me, it was trusting just my gut and my intuition and kind of checking within, like, does this feel right? And so when I was even searching for my Airbnb, it was so foreign for me to book a place that was simply just a room and not my own actual space, but like something in me felt like, okay, this host got great reviews. It feels very safe for solo travelers. It almost feels safer to go this way than for me to book my own place. Probably. So really it was just kind of like internally asking myself and trusting that like the direction that I'm going in is the right one. And yeah, listening to that gut feeling. Because I feel like when something feels off, you know it. And you feel it in your body, and that's not always the case. And it definitely, as a woman, you require like your head on a swivel to some degree, and making sure you're operating in a way that is, keeping your safety first. But at its core, I think for me, when I was doing this trip, was highlighting I'm trusting myself, and if something feels wrong or feels off, I'm not going to do it.
That's a really good dose / lesson of self-trust. Like whatever situation I get myself into, I can get myself out of it. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Can't stop myself from living.
Yeah. And whatever, especially in this like surrender experiment, wherever I end up, the universe wanted me there to learn either a tough, harsh lesson or to experience something that's euphoric and that I can take with me for the rest of my life. And yeah, I think it was something I would do again. But I would definitely prepare. I would almost, if I were to do it again, I would randomize the flight in the sense that maybe the night before I booked the flight.
Maybe.
Help my bank account a little bit. But still, like it is something that I loved doing. It was such a cool experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should challenge ourselves, Anna. I think we should do it at some point this upcoming summer. Okay. And I think what we should do, and I think during the summertime, right? That way, no matter where you're going, like you can assume you can dress, in shorts and a t-shirt, whatever, right? But I feel like we should do that. I feel like it would be individually, but I feel like
solo travel, or can we bring a person?
No.
I was supposed to go with my sisters. So they were both supposed to come with me, and then they bailed. And I was about to bail. Yeah. I think it's great to do it with someone too, especially for the first time. Maybe that's your first go about. You just do it on your own, or you do it with someone. And then after that, try and do it on your own. But I will say, that said, love my sisters, but I'm glad they didn't end up coming with me because I think it was supposed to be a solo journey. It was supposed to be something for me to experience on my own. And, you know, if they would have come with me, I wouldn't have ended up in the Airbnb I stayed at. We would have got a bigger place and things wouldn't have operated the same way if I had more people with me. So although I'm sure it would have been a magical trip in its own way, there's something to be said about that solo trip as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good idea. I need the independence. Can I start small? Because I have such a fear of being alone. Can I start small? Like I book a trip to Palm Springs by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, either that or maybe we do say it's a little squad adventure and we're gonna randomize where we go. Because I do think, to be fair, I think if you go to somewhere like you mentioned, like Milwaukee, right? It's like I do think if you went to Milwaukee in June, you'd find a way to have a great time, right?
Totally.
Like who knows what you'd end up doing? Maybe you'd end up at a brewery or whatever, right? Just eating fucking cheese curds for the rest of the time. But like,
awesome.
Yeah, you could have a great time doing that. I feel like. Because that was one of the things when I was in Chicago last week, I was like, I can't even like walk around right now. It's too damn cold, right? Like
right.
I'm walking around. I feel like I'm gonna get frostbite. So, I think if you do it during the summertime, and then that way, anywhere you end up in Nebraska, you end up in, whatever, North Dakota, like there's probably still going to be things that you can do because it's at least warm out.
Right.
But
I think that's a good idea.
Little squad adventure in the summertime.
Shaking on it.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
There you go.
Well, handshake.
All right. I'm
handshake.
excited to see this come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to join us.
I'm there.
You know the way to do it. So, and
show you the ropes.
And now you know the way to book a flight. So, yeah, we're gonna need that advice.
That we don't.
But yeah, I feel like that was a great way to start the podcast because when she told me that, I was like, dude, I have so much respect for that because I think that's so cool and that's so adventurous. And I feel like there's a lot of times in life where we're afraid to do things that are like a little bit outside the societal norm. And like, with that, most of the time you go to the airport, you already know where you're going and you already have ideas of what you're going to do when you get to that destination and things like that. And you were just like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go. I'm going to see where I end up and like whatever happens, happens. And then when you were texting me afterwards and you were like, oh, it ended up amazing. I met this girl I'm great friends with. I was like, that is really cool. And I think that's the energy that I feel like people need to approach 2025 with of like, it's a new year, new opportunities, new chances for things to happen and whatnot. And you did that and some cool shit happened. So
yes, it was amazing.
And you didn't get murdered.
Woo!
Bonus. I'd consider that a bonus.
It is.
A win, if you will.
Every day you're not murdered.
It is a win.
Right.
Totally.
Exactly.
That's how I approach it. We came up with like a new format that I think is really cool. Do you want to explain it?
Yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. It's a little new segment. And by the way, we're workshopping this. So if we say this and you're like, all right, I got a better idea for the name of it because it's very simple, straightforward right now. But if we end up wanting to get more creative with it, by all means, send us over some suggestions. But basically what we did is we have a list of a long list of different subjects and things like that. And basically what we're doing is we're sending the list to everybody that's coming on the podcast, and we're asking them to pick some different subjects within that. And what we're then doing is with that subject, you have to give your gold medal answer, your silver medal answer, and your bronze medal answer. And so I believe the segment's just literally called gold, silver, and bronze,
Yeah,
right?
easy.
Yeah.
Rank them.
And so you sent over the subjects that you wanted to get into, Caitlin. And so you sent over, I feel like the first one we got to start off with because I feel like it goes right into this.
And actually, mine went along with actually one of yours. What you just said.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm assuming it's the 3 things that always make you feel like a kid again?
Yeah.
Yes,
There it is. There it is.
I love this one.
So should we start off with, Caitlin, give us your gold medal answer for that.
My gold medal answer. Okay. I would say kind of what I embodied with my trip is just being spontaneous. Saying yes to things even when they don't feel comfortable. Because when you really think about when you're channeling your inner child, or, I have this luxury of working with children, and from being able to observe that, you see and witness how often kids are placed in uncomfortable situations, things that they've never experienced before. They're so new and fresh to the world. So even something as simple as, moving up a grade, you get a new teacher, or you're trying a new sport out, you're on a new sports team. These are scary moments, or can feel so many different emotions that are embodied in children when they're experiencing this. So we tend to lose that as we grow older and we move into adulthood. It's so easy to formulate this routine in your life, which can be great. Everyone loves a routine. But when you kind of get stuck in this cycle of just doing the same and falling into your comfort, we don't really experience a lot of newness and those like scary feelings that come with trying something spontaneous, new, uncomfortable. And so when I want to channel my inner child, I do what I did. And that is kind of like a dramatic version of it. It can be something simple as like trying out a new yoga class or trying out a new, you know, I took a pole dancing class once, like the super uncomfortable. I'm sure me as a child would not do that, but the idea stays the same.
just a 10 and under pole dancing
Hey,
class.
Mom, can I go to pole tonight?
At what age?
Wait,
The
Academy did not approve that.
Like appropriate.
I unfortunately think not. Unfortunately, ew, that made me sound fucking weird. And unfortunately, it's at 18.
But like, are you allowed to take one before then? Because I believe you're doing it for the core workout.
Oh, it's a
right?
great-
Like,
it's a great exercise.
Oh, it's an arm. Oh,
Core and arm.
Everything that you're doing in that class is working muscles that you've never worked before.
I just don't think there should be a youth class at the YMCA.
No,
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe we wait till adulthood. But yeah, the
Wait,
idea stands the same.
Do you think? Sorry to cut you off. Do you think is there a stripper class like a how to be a stripper like that? Because pole dancing, like if you take a pole dancing class, it's more of a core workout, right? Like you're not actually doing that. Well, you just looked at me funny.
I feel like you could get an apprenticeship. Like you go to the nearest club and you're like, "Can I shadow you?" Like that's how I would see it.
Well, the classes that I took, it really, it's not just about like, here, now try this and move your hips like this. It's like they want you to embody your inner, like you're sexy. And so they're like, when you're walking around the pole, like you walk around like you own the room. And they try and bring that out of you. Because I think part of the class is not just the workout, the amazing fun workout you're getting. It's also this connection with your body and your inner sexy, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do they tell you to like shake your butt? Like,
Oh yeah. And you'll see
Shake
people
your
doing
cheeks.
it. Like people are in their own world. My first class I went to, I was like, this is not their first class. Like it is
That's awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
what was the
it's really
typical
cool.
age range?
Probably in the mid-20s.
Okay.
Yeah. Right around. No children.
Your grandma's
Like,
there.
there's like some
No
70-year-old just busting a move
that
up
would
there.
be baller.
Yeah.
As she should. Okay,
Exactly.
so that actually specifically ties into my gold medal of my inner child thing. Is like lack of self-consciousness, lack of physical awareness, and like blind confidence. So like leaving the house without looking at what you're wearing in the way of like, how is this going to look in this light? Do I have cellulite? Do I look fat? How am I going to look in this lighting? Just leaving the house and whatever you vibe with, it feels good. You feel good in it.
Yes.
You go out and you're not thinking about it. You're trying a new activity and you're not thinking to yourself like, am I going to be good at this? Of course I'm going to be good at this, even if it's my first time.
Right.
That is when I feel my youngest and most true to my young self, is not worrying about what I look like, doing anything, whether it be what I'm wearing or the activity that I'm trying.
I love that. Yeah. Because I think that you're channeling that person, that child that is not conditioned by the world, doesn't have these thoughts that operate or that are running through their brain. How am I going to show up for everyone? Like, no, it's how am I going to show up for myself?
And this is I was thinking about that pivotal moment for me where I was in a group of girls and one of the women said, pointed out the cellulite on another girl's like back of her legs. And when I saw that, I had never even noticed it. Cellulite didn't register to me. And then all of a sudden it's all I can see. And I run home, I take my pants down, I look in the mirror to see if I have that. I do. And I haven't gone a day since then not looking at the back of my legs. And that was something where that is so true to like something being pointed out to you. And then that's all you can possibly see. And if you don't mention it, it's not noticed.
Right. Yeah. I had a similar situation where I was in high school and there was a guy who my thighs, when you're sitting on a chair, they were like spread, whatever. And he was like, he called me thunder thighs. And I was never insecure about my legs prior to that day. And then that shifted after that. And it's like, you got to let go of that conditioning because it's so silly.
It takes one comment though.
I know.
One comment and then it's stuck with you forever.
Yes.
So then it makes you think like all the nice things you say, you would hope that would have the same stickiness to it.
It absolutely does. It does.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was in the locker room and they were
Oh,
like,
shut up, Mark. Don't you want to hear it?
I was ready. I was like, tell us about yours.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear what your gold medal is.
I was going to make a funny joke. I'm assuming you know where I
know
was
exactly
going
where you were going.
where was I going to go with that?
Was it about your dick?
I actually pivoted. I pivoted because that's where originally I was going to go with they told me my dick was too big and I think
and I got bullied for
it. And I was obviously going to say that sarcastically, okay? It's average. But anywho, sorry mom who's listening to this podcast.
I'm sick of this guy.
I then pivoted to a more PG version. I was going to say somebody was like, "Oh, how do you have so many abdomens?" You know, that's where I was going to go with
abdomens.
That. Yeah, so many abdomens.
For all the children watching.
Yeah, what's your gold?
My gold is basically just doing anything where you have zero care in the world. It's like thinking about the times in life when I was growing up and like you're at like a bonfire and you're like making a s'more, like the really simple, basic things of life. I think that's where I feel the most like childlike. And even I just kind of said it, but like the walking around like a new city. I think that's one of my things where in that moment, it doesn't matter like what is going on in my life. I'm thinking about I'm in this new place. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if this coffee shop that I'm walking into is going to be the best coffee I've ever had or the worst coffee. I don't know if this like random store I like, if I'm going to like anything in there or not like anything at all. But like you're going into it and you're not thinking about anything else in life. It's just kind of like, oh, I wonder what I'll come across. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that we tend to lose in life as we get older is we tend to know exactly what we're doing, exactly where we're going, all that kind of stuff. And I think when you kind of strip that away and you are just like living presently in the moment, that is the most childlike thing. Because, you know, when you're a kid, when you're in like middle school, high school, you're not always thinking about, oh, what's life going to be like when I'm 22? You know, you're just thinking about like, oh, I wonder like what Bobby's up to today, or like, oh, I wonder if like, you know, we're going to have recess tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like you're not thinking so far out. And I think sometimes in life we don't just embrace the moment for a second, just enjoy that bonfire, enjoy that, you know, walk around a new city, do something like going skinny dipping at midnight in Florida with a girl that you just met and became friends with. It's like, why not? Why not? Like there's, right. And in that moment, you weren't thinking about like, oh, how am I going to pay rent next month? You know what I mean? You weren't thinking about how expensive was that flight to Orlando. Mm-hmm. You were just enjoying the moment. And I think sometimes we lose that as we get older.
Oh yeah. And especially in just what we've created, our reality is very centered around social media and you're on it constantly and you're, how am I portraying myself out here? So it's like, it's hard to avoid that thought process. So it's like another thing that I believe would help is, or helps me tap into that childhood on a very basic level, is just getting off of my phone and
so
truly
true.
Being in the moment.
Yeah.
And even in those little things, those little mundane things, doing my chores, those things are tapping into maybe an older version of me as a child, but still it is an appreciation of the current moment that I find myself in.
Oh yeah. When you get social media, you all of a sudden become a full-time job in like brand curating. Like we all have marketing jobs, whether we think we do or not.
Yeah.
Like we're in a constant state of how will this fit into the brand that I have decided is being fed.
Right. That I decided I am online, you know, this version of myself that I allow people to see. How is this, you know, affecting me? Yeah,
totally.
Okay, so I think we go with the silver medals, but I think we work backwards now, and then you'll end up with bronze.
And we go faster.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay.
We shut up a little bit more.
Yeah,
move faster.
We're just really
How about
into
that?
it.
Yap less.
Mine would be going to a fair and just doing fair activities, whether that's like playing the games there, getting like an elfin ear. Like anybody getting elfin ears growing up?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah,
turkey leg.
Yeah, what was it?
Turkey leg.
Well, turkey leg.
I love fair food. I love fair
fairs.
Food.
Just cotton candy.
I love that.
You know, those sort of things.
Yeah.
What about you?
When I allow myself to be taken care of. For sure. So like anytime I hate like other people getting me something, doing something for me. But when I am in a vulnerable position and I just sit down and allow somebody to take care of me, I feel very nurtured and it makes me feel like a kid again. Like I don't have to just do this all on my own.
That's great. That's great. I love that because it's so easy to, you know, be independent. I love being independent.
And we like revel in it and we think it makes us,
especially as women,
better or stronger. And when in reality, we really do just at the end of the day, we all want to be taken care of and want to take care of other people.
Yeah, I love that. I would say, what was my next one? Okay, well, for me specifically, like I mentioned earlier, I work with kids. So anytime I have like available free time with them and we're playing and I can involve myself in their creativity and play with them and almost like help garner that creative energy in them, that is when I feel like a kid, because I'm playing with them. It's literally play. And that is when I feel very at core, like I'm tapping into my inner child. And it's really fun.
Damn it. That's okay. So
that's almost exactly mine, because so my third place was fun for the sake of having fun, because I feel like so many adults have fun for the sake of distraction, or like trying to keep themselves busy to drinking a lot, doing anything to not think about the future, or just like whatever they're feeling and coping with at the moment. And like I was thinking about the most fun I've had recently, and it was, we got this new couch, and it's the cinema couch. So it's like one of these ginormous, like it's like a huge square cloud situation.
Oh, I love it.
And my boyfriend and I were sitting on it. We were having a glass of wine, and he was like, let's get all of the blankets and all of the pillows in our house and sleep here tonight. And I was like, oh, like a pillow fort? And he was like, yeah. And it was for some reason, he and I sleep next to each other every friggin' day. We've been together for almost 3 years, and like sleeping with each other on the couch in our like pillow fort was so fun. And we woke up in the best mood, and it's just like we felt like kids, like just fun for the sake of fun. It doesn't have to be what we do every night.
Right. Yes. And it can be so simple. We were even talking about how I have a love-hate relationship with taking baths. Like the idea of a bath is so fun, but then when I get in it, I'm like, this is torture. But I took a bath recently. I had this giant bath, and I made a bubble bath, and I was just sitting in there just playing with the bubbles. I'm like, this is so like fun and playful, and I'm tapping into this child in me that used to take baths. And it was such a simple thing that really allowed me to be present in that moment and enjoy this simple luxury.
I love a bubble bath. I make bubble boobs when I go in there. Like,
mustache.
don't we all? Like, I grab the bubbles and I put them on. I'm like, this is the size I would go if I could do this all over again.
Yep.
For the 5th time, I would do this size. I stand up, look in the mirror. I'm like, yeah, confirmed.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah, I like those.
She walks into her plastic surgeon's office. She's like, listen, here's what I need. I need bubbles. And I'm going to show you exactly how I want them to look.
We need a bathtub.
Run me
We
a
need a
bubble
bathtub
bath.
now,
Exactly.
Doc.
This guy's like, all right, we gotta call the police.
Do I
again.
pay you for this?
Right. You're the 5th woman that's walked in here today asking for us to install
bubble
a bubble
boobs.
bath.
It's a business model.
My last one is playing a game on my phone, like almost like how growing up I had like a Game Boy Color and I would play like all the Pokemon games and everything like that. I downloaded this game called Golf Battle, and I play it now if I'm gonna be honest, TMI, whatever. If I'm taking a shit, like I'm sitting there, I'm playing Golf Battle.
So you're taking forever in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he's going, yes.
Yeah.
It's not because he
When I
had
was
a good one.
when I was on the Peloton earlier, I was just playing it, and like I don't know, it's a funny little putt game, and like I don't know, I enjoy it. I like getting the little animations and the level up, and next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I unlocked that different putter, and I'm like, this is cool, this different ball now, and like I don't know, it's like so dumb and childish, but like I just enjoy it, and it's a distraction from whatever's going on. So even if I'm like stressed out after like a work call or just I don't know, something going on in life, I will literally just like sit on my stairs sometimes and just play for like 10 minutes, put my phone on do not disturb, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting any texts. I'm just gonna play this game and enjoy this for a minute. So.
One that felt like an ad, and number 2, I feel like that's more of like a old person thing, because the only people I know that play games on their phone are 60 and up.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay,
The 60 and up crowd loves a phone game.
I know, but I say that-
Solitaire. Holy shit!
Sudoku?
A
Like,
grip.
what are
They got a
you
grip
doing?
on the older crowd.
I say that because my younger self was like had like the Game Boy Color, had the Nintendo Switch, like
Yeah.
the PSP, things like that, and so it's like getting back to those days. I do actually kind of want to buy a Game Boy Color or like an
should.
N64 and like
You
just
should.
what was the
Really
what was the
commit
duck
to it.
shooting game growing up?
I just remember Frogger. Like
Frogger
the one
was
that
elite.
moved the frog with the traffic.
See, I was on Sims. I was like a Sims player.
Did you make your Sims have sex
Oh my god.
constantly?
Yeah.
Did you burn their house down?
All the time.
All the time.
All the
Yeah.
time.
It was
Neglect their children.
We
like,
were
duh.
sick fucks.
Wait, they actually had sex on it?
Oh, if you got the heart-shaped bed and you made both of them get in,
And it would do it.
and they would do it. Yeah.
You would watch?
They would get under the covers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't actually see any. Mark's like, wait. So does it show it? And is
like
the game
downloading
still available?
Sims right now.
Is it available for iPhone 15 plus?
You guys are wrong for that. You guys are wrong for that.
No, I mean, I think that was every kid's like education.
Yeah.
And
Like, this
you
is
know,
my sex ed class.
or if they're going to become serial killers or not. They're like, do I like watching this house burn or not?
This is kind of
the
sick.
Sim is outside like,
No, I start crying. I'm like, okay, you're not too far gone. I actually feel guilty. Our next question was 3 things that we're currently trying to improve about ourselves.
Oh, you're gonna like mine, Anna.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh no.
But we won't. We're not gonna start with me. We'll start with Anna this time. So Anna, let's start with you.
Okay, mine's not needing to be liked by everyone and not taking it personally when someone doesn't connect with me. That's a big one because I try to make myself really presentable and do things like in my head, like so textbook correct that no one could possibly be mad at me. And if they were mad at me, like there must be a misunderstanding. Sometimes people just don't like you and I have to accept that and understand that. And all I want is to connect with people. So when people, I don't, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, just trying to like build something and like get a friendship and it's not being reciprocated. I'm like,
what's wrong with me? Yeah.
There's something I don't know. I'm weird. And like, that's always been like my go-to inner narrative. Like anytime I have more than like a few glasses of wine, my boyfriend always has to give me a lecture on how like, you're not weird. Some people just don't click.
Well, that actually
It's
resonates with one of the ones that I wrote as well, was just move authentically with pride and just really embrace, because I feel like it's so easy to adjust your personality depending on who you're around or with, and that could be a boss, that could be a new group of friends that you want to impress, and it's sometimes it's very subconscious, and just becoming aware of when I'm not being authentic to my true self and making sure I stick to that no matter who I'm around, because the people who are meant to be, who I'm meant to connect with, will find me if I move authentically rather than move in a way that I think people want me to move,
So true. I met like some of my best friends through doing the podcast because we talk about the tough topics and we immediately get down to it. And it kind of takes away all that small talk.
Right.
So then you almost weed out the people that you would and wouldn't be compatible with. So that's been really nice. And I kind of take that into my like socializing now, which is same thing, moving authentically.
Yeah.
What's yours?
What do you think mine is, Anna? Actually, you know me incredibly well. So let's see. What do you think mine is?
Is it being less, like being kinder?
Wow. Just calls me a dickhead.
Just being nicer, like when you're saying things.
Okay, literally my top one, being beyond blunt. Like I'm sometimes too blunt, and I think there's certain times where I have kind of like growing up, every guy played football or whatever, but a lot of guys played football, and like you would have a football coach who would just be like, "Hey, Colcer, you fucking suck today. Like, do better." And that's kind of how I went about life afterwards, was just like, oh, I'm just going to be bluntly honest with people. And I think I've realized that certain times I need to be kinder. And there's a time and a place to be super, super blunt and straightforward and everything like that. And then I think there's other times where you need to be a little bit more conscious of how what you're saying is going to be received. And, every once in a while it does call for being blunt. And I think other times it calls for being blunt with a side of sweetness. And I think I just need to do a little bit of a better job with that, because I think the way that I look at it sometimes is like, if I'm blunt with people, if I'm honest, that means it's coming out of love and it's coming out of like wanting them to be the best. But I think also at the same time, you do have to think about how that person's going to receive that. And I think sometimes I just need that reminder. And so, yeah, Anna and I had a conversation earlier today, and I was like, yeah, that was actually all right. I want to clarify.
I was going to say, did you write it before or after?
It was honestly written this morning, but like,
you should have shown it to me when we were sitting there.
Yeah, no, it was, but it's just one of those things where, yeah, I definitely recognize that's something that I have to do a better job of. And also, I guess, understanding, different people communicate in different ways. So it's not necessarily like some people need that. Some people, need it a little bit softer. And I think it's like, it's obviously important to understand who you're communicating with, how they need to be communicated with, and be conscious of what you're saying and how it makes someone feel.
Yeah, because sometimes your truth isn't like the truth.
Right.
And like your experience in that circumstance is so valid, but it's not going to be the common experience.
Yeah.
And so there has to be a way of communicating that so that all people can hear it. And unfortunately, if you are really blunt, there are people that their walls immediately go up and they're not going to even be receptive because of trauma.
Absolutely.
Or they're, equally as stubborn and fiery. And then you just have this like combustible situation. Or you have, someone that will just like listen and nod along because they're scared. And none of those things are ever going to be productive. So I think that's really great that you came to that on your own. So proud of you, Mark.
It's hey, we gotta. It's a new year. You gotta reflect. You gotta figure out the shit that you need to do a little bit better job of. And I gotta do a little bit of a better job. I'm a little bit too blunt sometimes.
I feel like I resonate with that, but in the opposite way. I need to be more blunt, especially with like men, but just in general.
You're kind of stupid.
Like you're dumb.
You kind of are giving dumb.
I need to be meaner to these men.
I like that. I should mind that actually.
I'm gonna actually write that down.
Yeah, we get to be meaner. You have to be nicer.
Yeah, that's
rules
fair.
for boys and girls.
Yeah,
teach that in school.
Yeah, no. Honestly, though, I think there's certain times where it calls for it to be super, super blunt, super, real like that, and then I think there's other times again where you need to be a little bit more reserved. But like, if you need to be, actually, we talked about this yesterday. Caitlin was telling me some different dating situations and whatnot. I can cut this part out if you want it out. But I was just like, hey, be super fucking blunt. Like, just, don't put up with bullshit, and if they receive it well, great. If not, fuck them.
Right, exactly.
You might get respected more in the process, which is always cool. Should we do our second place?
Yeah. Do
you want to start?
Yeah, sure. My silver medal is responding back to my text today, or texts on a more regular basis. I currently have 872 unread texts.
You've recently gotten bad at that because you used to be good.
Yeah.
And I've noticed like recently communication. I think it's because you're so busy and you have so many friends.
Well, you're in my top 9, my pin messages.
Top 9? What number am I in that?
You are number 5.
That feels good to me.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a good spot.
I feel good about that.
You passed.
Actually.
Yeah. Wait, am I in your pin messages?
No, of course not. I only have 3. Mom, best friend, boyfriend.
That's crazy that I'm not. That's crazy I'm not number 4.
Of course not. Mom, best You would actually be number 4 if you were going to be on there.
But then when you hit number 4, it's like that awkward, like,
I'm not doing that.
No, exactly. Like you either have 3 or you have 6.
I'll resent you if you mess up my aesthetic.
Well,
it's all about aesthetics.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually just recently removed somebody from my top 9, so I only have 8 actually, and it's fucking
cleaner.
me up. Yeah, I'm like trying to. No, 8's bad.
Oh, 8 is uneven.
Because it's uneven.
Yeah.
So I actually need to elevate somebody.
Let's get you a girlfriend.
Yeah, that would be sick.
That'd be so sick. Then she'll be number 9.
What a concept. No, I'd have to move her up past 9. No, actually, you don't even have me in your top whatever. So to be fair, she'll put you up there. I'll add somebody else and boot your ass. Sorry, never mind. I got to be nicer.
Oh, man.
You're doing really well.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, no, I'd need to respond back to text better. I have gotten to it's bad.
Well, granted, you're busy. Like, it's also because you're working. It's not like you've just all of a sudden like just decided you're not going to talk to people anymore.
I know, but I've like set a record for the amount of people that have said to me this year, like, hey, so you just never respond to texts? And I'm like, yeah, when everyone's saying it, you're like, okay, I just need to do a better job. But yeah.
I feel like I'm not the greatest at responding to texts, but my friends know it. Because they're also equally as bad. And it's one of those things that like, I'll get the text right away. I'll read it right away. And I'm like, okay, I'll respond to that in a little bit. Or like I'm doing something or for some reason I'm not responding right away. And then 3 days will go by and I'm like, oh shit.
The worst person ever.
I never texted that person back.
That is me as well.
So
okay, so my silver is not second guessing how I feel and trying to talk myself out of it. Like if I'm hurt, I'm allowed to be hurt, or basically believing myself when someone has hurt me, because I often will second guess my experience, and I'll be like, okay, why did this hurt me? Is that because of my past experiences? Like they meant well, they love me, so they clearly didn't mean that, and I'll defend the other person's actions, and then leave my hurt to just kind of stew
fester,
in it.
Yeah.
So if like believe myself when something doesn't feel right. Like if I'm getting a bad gut instinct about you, like don't make excuses for people. Like you never make excuses for yourself. So don't give other people that grace if you're not going to give it to yourself.
Right. I hear you. That is so real. Mine is things that I think I've implemented this into my life and noticed a shift, but the way I speak to myself, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, it's interesting how often you doubt yourself. Like you can be your biggest holdback in life because you don't believe that you are capable of accomplishing what you want to accomplish or what you're set out to do, because you're simply telling yourself that it's not available for you. That's not, within your realm of possibilities. And, you know, kind of like we talked about earlier, where like the self-image, you know, I could sit there and look at myself in the mirror and be like, I need to change this about myself. Like, I'm not worthy until I don't have cellulite anymore, or I don't have, if my abs aren't showing, or whatever the case may be. Rather than speaking to myself like, oh my God, you're alive today. Your body is operating. You're healthy. You look fantastic. You're beautiful. And just like, it's such a shift in the way that you see the world and the gratitude towards it. And so just being more conscious and continuing to be more conscious about how I'm speaking to myself, what I'm bringing into the world every day, and embodying that and shining that energy through.
I love that very, very much. That goes along with my third, which is seeing myself for more than just my body. And that like I deserve to be successful and happy and have fun on that vacation regardless of what I look like. And like I went to Cabo, I think it was 2 months ago, and I covered myself up the entire time. I did not want to be seen in a bathing suit. I was dreading going on that trip, to be honest, but I went because I wanted to see my family. And I'm going to Cabo again next month, and I've made this decision that I'm going to go and just like walk around.
I love it. Yeah.
Which is out.
Just be.
Tits out.
Just be.
Which is so insane because you look at my Instagram and you're like, oh, this girl has no problem being naked. And it's like, that is, I have curated that lighting, that pose. There's 100 different photos and I chose that one. Like in real life, you can't control the lighting people see you in and, you know, the jiggle when you walk, things like that. So that is my vow, is to just like see myself for more than just the
physically,
shell.
how I present myself. It's interesting. I was actually, everyone knows the song Messy, you know, I'm so messy. And it was an interesting thing because I feel like everyone resonates with that song to a certain degree, and that's why it like popped off. And it's fun to sing nonetheless, but it's also like, I feel like lyrically people connect with it. And I was trying to decide like, why do I connect with this song? And then it wasn't until I was scrolling through TikTok and people were trying to dissect who she was writing the song to. And she commented on a TikTok, the artist, and was like, I wrote it to myself. And I was like, that is interesting, and probably why I resonate with it, especially the line where she goes, 1,000 people I can be for you, but you hate the fucking lot. Yeah. I feel like that's so deep in the sense that we can show up every day, but until we decide to accept ourselves the way we are, we're going to continue to beat ourselves up and never move authentically and shine until we decide that, you know, I'm worthy just as I am today.
Amen.
Yeah, drop the mic there.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
That was beautiful on both of you guys. I love that.
That was a good moment.
Thanks, man. Good work.
Yeah.
Good work. Mostly on you, but thanks. I'll take credit as well.
That was great.
Okay, what's your bronze?
My bronze is rechecking in on people. I think a lot of times when you see friends going through tough shit, it's very easy and very customary to hit them up immediately and just go, hey, I'm checking in on you. Just want to make sure you're good. Want to make sure, you know, if there's anything I can do to help. I think a lot of times what we do is we forget that whatever they were going through, whatever was enough for you to check in on that person that first time, are you checking in on them a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later? And I think we all need to do a better job of that. But I know within myself, like, that's something I need to keep doing, is checking in on that person, making sure that they're good, understanding that like recovery and you know, just going through something tough is not like a 2-day, 3-day journey. It's sometimes a several month journey, and like just continuing to check in on people and make sure that they're good. And I think regardless, because I know a lot of times when you check in on people, they kind of just customary response like, oh yeah, I'm good, thanks for checking in. But I think people appreciate when you keep doing that, and I think it allows them to remind themselves that they are allowed to voice how they feel. And who knows, maybe that's the thing that allows them to open up a little bit more and maybe actually get the help that they need in that moment, just from you checking in again when most people kind of forget.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I actually have this one person, I'm not going to say names obviously because they mean well, but there was a breakup that I was going through like years ago, and the specific person that I love so much would reach out to me and be like, hey, I just like want to make sure you're doing okay. And I'd always be like, no, I'm actually not doing well at all. And they'd be like, okay, just checking, love you. And I thought that, and every time it would make me laugh so hard because it would be me being like, no, I'm actually doing really bad. And they'd be like, okay, was just wondering, love you, bye.
I'm not going to do anything to help. I just
I don't want to get into it. Please don't talk about it. And it, like, to this day, I still think it's like the most endearing, hilarious thing ever.
It is so iconic.
Yeah, but I agree with that fully. I feel like with a lot of tragedy, even just to tie it back into the fires, like, we will ask them the week of, but then the fires are going to be contained, and then we have to pick up our lives and then move on like we do every time something horrific happens in our world and in our lives. and will forget that those people still lost their homes, still don't have their clothes. And it's like, yeah, it's not maybe trending on social media to like be posting how active you are raising money or getting clothing together, but it still fucking matters. It matters more than ever. And I feel like being there for them in the later months is actually more powerful than in the moment. That's when it's going to have the most impact.
Absolutely. Because that's when it really sets in. That's when the reality shift happens. You actually have to deal with the event that occurred and how it's affecting your life.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, being a source of support for someone is huge.
What's your silver medal or bronze?
Bronze.
We're at bronze.
Actually, I didn't write anything because I'm pretty sure I'm perfect up there.
Oh,
Those are the things that I said.
I think there's only 2 things actually. So
It rounds it out.
yeah, 3 probably get less
Like
perfect.
maybe.
Fuck.
Right, exactly. What was mine? I actually truly did not write anything else. But as you were saying something, something occurred to me. So start with someone else and come back to
I
me.
gave my third. Like I immediately tied it into what you were saying.
I think that's what had happened too.
Just try to connect with you, you know?
Like,
just trying to find
let me
commonality.
just think of something else I need to do.
Me too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of things I'd like to fix about myself, but most of them are just about. I have a lot of like avoidance with conflict, and I've gotten better about that recently, where I've realized that all of the relationships that I thought might go away because I'm honest are actually just stronger, and there's like really no second guessing about it. It's kind of like, okay, we got the conversation over with, now we can move on. And so just being just more confident in that conflict and just being like, it'll all get figured out if it's meant to be.
I love that. I definitely resonate with that because I instinctively always avoid contact or like conflict, and it kind of boils back to the idea we were talking about earlier, where it's like, if it's meant for you, then it's meant for you, and you expressing your feelings won't do anything other than strengthen that relationship. And worst case, it doesn't work out and that friendship falls apart, but then it wasn't meant for you. You know, it wasn't yours to begin with. And, you know, who wants a fake or a friendship that you can't, or a relationship that you can't be honest? And I think that is something I need to embody.
I feel like once the friends get through like hard conversations and through those conflicts, they almost become, like we've talked about this, like the non-negotiables. Like the friends are like, oh, I won't lose that person.
Right.
And we all have those people where it's like, it's just not an option for me, and I will always fight for them so we can get through anything. But to get to that position, you have to have gotten through the hard stuff to really like anchor in your ranking as a non-negotiable. You can't just be a surface level friend to get that position.
Right. Yes, I agree.
I think that's why my relationship with Anna, why we have such a strong friendship. And I tell people all the time, like, she's like a sister to me, because just like my actual sister and just like Anna, like both of them will hold me accountable for shit. So if I'm being an asshole at times, if I'm being some type of way, like if I'm being moody, if I'm being, you know, whatever, dramatic, whatever it may be, they're not afraid to call me out on my shit. And I think that's the reason why. Like, my mom listens to this podcast all the time. She always says how much she loves Anna, and it's because, like, again, I think that's like how our family is, and I think it's a beautiful thing when you are able to talk to somebody, have a legit, real conversation with them. And again, if they take it the wrong way, then again, that kind of shows like that's not somebody you want to have in your life, because at the end of the day, conflict is unavoidable. It's how you have that conversation that is the important thing. If you bring up some sort of issue you have with somebody, and their, you know, resolution to that problem is to be like, hey, go fuck yourself, like, obviously that's not somebody you need in your life, right? And so I think sometimes when you embrace conflict and go, hey, like, if we can't have productive conversations about this, I kind of know where, like, that there's a limit to this situation, and I probably need to cut this off. But yet, if you are able to have productive conversations with somebody when some sort of conflict does arise, then if anything, again, like you said, Anna, like your friendship, your relationship with that person only improves. So I think instead of fearing conflict, embrace conflict. And then I think as you embrace it, conflict becomes less, because now that person understands you better than they ever had. And they're a little bit more conscious of what they're doing and what they're saying and how that may affect you or somebody else. And so I think it only strengthens things. And then it either strengthens your life by removing them out of your life, or it strengthens your relationship with that person, and now things are better.
I feel like it's almost the difference between friendship and family.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
about my relationship with my sisters and my siblings and the way that I can just be real with them no matter what. And there's no judgment that's passed. It's like, and I have friendships that also embody that as well. And it requires you to just be upfront and honest with them in those situations. And I think that that is the difference. You know, now we've leveled up our friendship to, I see you as family. Like, I love you on this core level because you see me and I see you, and we can be honest with each other in all aspects of life. So,
And
yeah.
sometimes family sees you but can't be honest, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
I've noticed that with a lot of family dynamics, like they're actually the most dishonest with each other. But I love that you brought up your mom, because when we were talking earlier and I was just really giving it to you for being a spicy little asshole, I was about to say your mom would have been really disappointed.
Oh, damn.
I was gonna be like, would your mom have liked it when she had heard that? And then I was like, that's so not necessary. But now that you are bringing your mom up, I was like,
You know, my mom's going to listen to this and text me. What did you say?
what'd you say, honey?
Mark?
No, it wasn't that bad. It's more just a thing of like, I was just saying it to be a dick, to really
No.
just like get the fucking point home.
No, it's cool. Why don't we explain the whole situation on the podcast?
Let's walk everyone through it.
No. It's
you get it. I'm just saying
again.
it
It
for
goes back to Anna and I have known each other for 8 years. It's like we've had so many times in life where we've had to call each other out, and it's only strengthened our friendship. And I think that's the reason why, why I have so much respect for Anna, and it's like when you have that kind of respect for somebody, you want them to. They know you better than anybody else, and so they also know how you can improve upon yourself, right? It's the reason why when we did that question, I said, okay, Anna, what would my answer be? And then it was exactly right as to what mine is. She knows me that well, right? And I think that's important. The people that know you should want them to hold you responsible and to help you, become the best version of yourself. And then obviously you should do the same for them. And so I think that's the basis of all, great relationships is bringing out the best in each other.
Absolutely.
Raising the standards.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was a fun format. I feel
Yeah.
like that was a really
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
little trial run of that concept.
Yeah, Caitlin, you going to come back on the podcast?
If you'll have me, of course.
Exhausted.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So, these people are fucking crazy.
Yap a lot.
Yeah.
No,
it's
you
been
were a great
fantastic.
guest.
Thank you. I was honored to be on here. It's been really fun. It's something I've never done before. So definitely nervous, but you guys run a really well curated podcast, and it was amazing to be here.
Well,
So
thank you.
I
Thank
mean, that
you.
kind
You're
of goes.
natural.
That kind of goes back into the thing that you were saying earlier about the whole like being, doing more like childlike things. It's like you're
Yeah.
like doing something that kind of freaks you out a little bit. Like,
Absolutely.
were you nervous before coming on the podcast?
Yes.
Oh, you did not seem it at all.
Really? I played it cool.
Oh yeah, when you sat down, I'm like, oh, she's one of those chicks, like one of those like confident. Cool. I would have been like, my ass is sweating.
No,
so
I'm
nervous.
sweating. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
glad
are
I
you
played it
hot
cool.
right now? Because that jacket's toasty and I'm sweating over here and I'm
Oh,
in
yeah.
a short sleeve.
I'm
Yeah.
toasty, but
Yeah.
it's part of the outfit, so it's not coming off.
She looks fly as hell. That can't go anywhere.
She looks fly as hell.
Yeah, that cannot go anywhere.
It's staying on the body.
You are
Yeah.
stunting hard. That's what I like to say.
You were
I'm
stunting.
representing for the girls of Ohio. We're
Good.
cooler than we seem, I
We
swear.
can dress.
We can dress.
Yeah, you look great.
I need you to say that from now on. You were stunting hard right now.
No, this is what I say to every. So like, I'll come out in the living room and I'm gonna be like, Forrest, I don't want to stunt too hard today, so this is what I'm wearing. Like that's become like my adjective for like how dressed
it.
I'm gonna be. I'm like, I'm gonna stunt pretty hard today. I'm gonna warn you.
It's always like when you wear like some new shoes or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then somebody compliments them and you're like, damn.
Yep, I
Yeah.
I
know.
look good as hell today.
Yeah, I'm stunting hard on these bitches.
Yep.
Stunting. All
Yep.
right. That's my new vocab word.
Oh yeah, stunt.
Yeah.
Stunting.
There it is.
Okay,
Well,
we should wrap it up now.
Yeah, so we're going to cut this shit. Caitlin, appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun. And we're definitely doing the group. We'll do the group adventures travel. We'll
Yes.
we'll figure out where we're going to go. Maybe we just take a map and throw a dart at it.
Ooh, I
I've
like
been getting into
this.
darts lately. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get your aim on because I want to go to Europe.
I know, seriously.
Oh, we're doing a world map.
Like
Okay.
specifically
Yeah.
Tuscany.
Yeah. Anna just runs up to the map and just
And
puts
just go
exactly.
boop it,
Sets
and
it
I'm
right
like,
there.
hey, we're going to my castle. Oh no.
Wow, we're going to the Maldives.
Oh God,
such a
awkward.
shame.
Okay. Well,
Only
my bag's
packed
already
bikinis.
packed.
Yeah.
So when are
Guess
we
we gotta
going?
go.
But no, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you telling these stories, and excited to have you back on. And thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, we love you guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.